Tales of the Airship Neverland, Volume 2, Captain Hook and the Pirates of Mars, a brash upstart production. Based on the book by John R. White. Audio play by John R. White. Produced by John R. White. Directed by Micheal, Shea and John R. White. Featuring the voices of Tony Semanik, Courtney Zimmer, Amy Hurd, Mark Speck, Melissa O'Brien, Mike Shea, and Christopher Williams. Sound engineering by Christopher Williams and John R. White. Before you ask me if this story is make-believe, ask me first if I think this world is real.
Mars. Outside Odimans, Sinai Plenum, British Territorial Region. November 10th, 1889.
I hate Mars. I want to go home.
Angela Tinker Belle pushed the throttle forward until it was practically shoved into the backhead. She urged the engine to go faster. Though she was used to the heat of boiler rooms, Tink was miserable. This heat from the locomotive's firebox created sweat that plastered her hair to her forehead. In addition, her salty tears stung her eyes and mixed with the tears that were already there. She glanced down at her husband, lying on the floor of the cab, unconscious and pale. Blood stained the bandage that was wrapped around Peter's abdomen. He was pale, and the heat from the firebox was not helping his condition.
Come on! Come on! Tommy, shovel faster!
Tink, it is not possible to shovel faster than I'm going.
Tink, he's moving so fast. I can barely see his arms as it is, for goodness sake. Hotter, Tommy, I need it hotter.
The golem nodded its head silently and shoveled the coal and cork faster and faster. Tink twisted the blower valve and the atomizer valves until they were full open and more fuel oil and air poured into the firebox. The locomotive jerked ahead, screaming, and flew forward as if the devil himself were after it. Tink pulled her goggles down over her eyes and leaned out the side window, looking toward the back of the train. She saw smoke on the horizon and knew that the other train was moving up on them. She pulled back inside the locomotive's cab, raised her goggles, and drew both her revolvers. She flipped open their cylinders and checked her ammunition. A total of 8 cartridges had been spent. Tink bit her lip. Only 2 rounds left in each pistol. As she snapped the cylinders shut and slid the pistols back into their holsters, she looked up through the open hatch at her blonde friend Alice, who was perched inside the roof-mounted gun turret. The turret housed a mechanized 4-barrel large-bore cannon, and Alice was at the gunner's position.
Alice, how's it going, honey? Well, I would say badly. We're being chased by a train with a giant buzzsaw. People are shooting at us, and I'm out of ammo. Well, they always say useful girls can't stay out of trouble. How's Peter? Still shot.
Alice looked down through the hatch and could see Peter where he lay on the floor of the cab, unconscious and ghastly pale, wrapped in blood-stained bandages.
Hold on, baby.
Tink looked out of the cab window again, this time forward of the train. She saw the telltale bend in the tracks and the flashing lights warning of the great bridge ahead. They were fast approaching Vale Marinaris, the largest canyon on Mars. The Vale Marinaris Canyon was as long as the nation of America on Earth was wide. Tink took a quick look at her pocket watch.
Hope they got the message. Otherwise, this is going to go rather poorly. Tommy, you still with me?
I really have nothing better to do at the time.
Thomas continued to shovel coal, a brass blur of efficiency. He didn't mention that the coal box was now nearly empty. Tink heard glass shatter.
That did not sound good.
Tink looked at the main steam pressure gauges. The gauges' hands had swung past the calibration limits with such force that they flew off their shafts, breaking the cover glass. The engine's boilers were being extremely overtaxed. Tink looked at the other gauges. Every one of them was redlined, and the speed indicator was already up to 130. She twisted the oil-firing lever all the way open. Tink swallowed hard and hoped to God that Peter was still alive. She took another quick look out of the cab window. The pursuing train was closing fast, and it was so close now that she could see the giant hook on the front of the pony truck.
Come on!
The train banked the turn. Now Tink could see the Great Martian Bridge ahead. The bridge spanned the 200-kilometer width of the Great Canyon. Next to the railbed, a red warning light was flashing brightly on a very large sign with giant letters, "Bridge out!"
Didn't the Greens destroy that?
Wait, what?
Uh-huh.
Tink, we have to stop.
I'm all for stop. Look at that motor. What in the hell are you doing?
Tink pushed harder on the throttle, putting all her weight against it. CCO's train was now close enough that Alice up in the turret could see him waving at her. The circular saw blade on the great hook mounted on the front of his train began to spin, the blade whining as it turned faster and faster. The gap closed between the two locomotives, and the spinning blade began to tag the back of Engine 220's coal box. The noise was deafening as the blade hungrily chewed steel like a dog on a bone.
Huh. Hadn't noticed that before. Tank! Do something!
Engine 220 hurtled up the approach to the Great Bridge and flew toward the yawning canyon. Thomas glanced out the window and saw the shattered and twisted ends of the rails ahead. He turned to Tink.
You don't mean to tell me this train can fly?
Kinda.
The bridge of the Airship Neverland was already at battle stations, high above the surface of the red planet. The great airship was a blur of noise and well-disciplined chaos. Admiral Windy Darling held one earpiece of her headphones tight against her ear as she yelled into the microphone.
What?
The Roger, we've spotted her.
The Roger? Where?
Over soon. She's big.
It's how big?
Largest I've ever seen. Maybe 4 or 5 times our size. You need to listen carefully to the following. It's about Tink.
Oh my God. They're where? She needs us to do what?
Windy motioned to Fatimah to put on her headphones, and the two commanders listened to the transmission. Fatimah froze as she watched the blood drain from Windy's face.
Michael, tell me you're kidding me.
I wish I were. You'd better hurry. You need to get down here. Tink's all alone. And Peter.
Dear God. What about you?
We'll be fine.
You sure?
Yes. Do what you must.
Okay. Understood. We're en route. Curly, give me ship wide. All hands prepare for maximum speed. Secure the ship. Secure safety lines. All stations report combat readiness.
Windy, I need to speak with you, now.
All hands reporting in. Ready.
Windy, you need listen to me. Do not to do this.
What did you say to me?
You cannot destroy Neverland to save 3 peoples. You cannot throw away this ship. You do this, you fight him now, you die. Everyone die. This is madness.
If I don't get down there, Tink and Peter will die. Engineering, I need a hard 90-degree dive. Full Aether drive on my mock.
Windy, Captain, Sadiq, you tell me right now that Tink, that Peter life means more to you than all these people. More than Curly, than Micheal, than you, than me. You tell me this now.
Admiral, Neverland stands ready. Awaiting your command.
Fatimah looked intently at Windy, waiting for a response, but there was none. Instead, Windy grabbed the wheel and spun it hard over. The Neverland keeled over, and Windy pointed the great ship at the surface of Mars below.
Engineering, full power, now!
The Neverland shuddered as the ether drive went to full. The ship hurtled toward the surface like a hawk diving on a sprinting jackrabbit. The glass dome of the ship's bridge began to take on a fiery hue. Fatimah screamed as she watched both foremasts of the port and starboard gun hulls burst into flame and snap off, spiraling away behind the Neverland. The ship was now superheating as it descended through the thin Mars atmosphere.
Screw it. Engineering, I need more speed.
Sneeze, little girl. We're redlining. Where are we going?
Too slow.
Join the crew of the Airship Neverland at airshipneverland.com. The tales begin with Tales of the Airship Neverland, Volume 1, A Steampunk Fairy Tale, Volume 1.5, Fairy Dust Never Rusts, and this Halloween, Tales of the Airship Neverland, Volume 2, Captain Hook and the Pirates of Mars. Tales of the Airship Neverland, Volume 2, Captain Hook and the Pirates of Mars, a brash upstart production. Based on the book by John R. White. Audio play by John R. White. Produced by John R. White. Directed by Micheal Shea and John R. White. Featuring the voices of Tony Semanik, Courtney Zimmer, Amy Hurd, Mark Speck, Melissa O'Brien, Mike Shea, and Christopher Williams. Sound engineering by Christopher Williams and John R. White.